going on, Team Shrugs? How's everybody doing today? Happy to have my best buddy, Cody Esposito, on the line. How's it going, Cody?
How's it going? Vinny? How you doing?
Good. So we've been fortunate. We've watched a bunch of UFCs together. We have watched them either virtually like this, or we've watched them in person together. It's exciting to have 249 coming back. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a little bit odd given the circumstance. You know, we're going to have no audience participating.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a little weird. Definitely going to be a little weird, but I'm definitely excited for some type of sport to be back, and I'm excited that it is MMA. ESPN's been playing a lot of the Ocho, some odd sports out there, but it's going to be fun to actually watch some action out there. And like you said, no audience, going to be weird, and it might play a role in the victor and who comes out with more heart or not. So definitely going to be an interesting event. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I didn't mind the one they did as at the beginning of the pandemic. They had done the one in Brazil.
Yeah. That was okay. It was definitely weird when watching it. You don't hear anybody in the crowd. It's just you hear those echoes, the coaches. You know, so that could be a little unfair. You can hear what the coaches are saying to each other. I don't know. I'm just saying.
The model that they've really got to start looking into, and I know this is like a really unpopular opinion, but I'm full of them, is the WWE is doing an incredible job throughout all this. I know like Chael Sonnen hates the way they're doing it, but they've done an incredible job where like even their WrestleMania was broken down into 2 days. The event was incredible. It was far better. It's like blasphemy to say it. It was far better than last year's WrestleMania. Like that. I didn't have to sit through 7 hours straight of something. Yes, there's no audience participation, but they got creative. They did things with different camera angles and pre-editing and post-editing that they couldn't do otherwise. And the stuff looks good. Even right now, the stuff that runs every week for Raw and SmackDown and NXT and things like that has that very much that back room, that mat room kind of feel.
Yep.
You know, you can hear the smack talking. You could see all that. It's a lot more fun.
I'll say that I have watched it a little bit more now, and without the audience, the product is good, but, you know, the storyline looks a little extra cheesier because they're not really performing it for anyone there, you know? So
for sure.
On the TV,
talking, the promo cutting shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
But you know, the interaction as far as in-ring, in-match, it's almost better. Feels raw, feels real that way.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, the UFC's got to look at these kind of models, and I'm not saying as far as the stage, the theatrics of it, but when you have this small kind of non-existent audience and things like that, they've got to look at these types of models to emulate the good things from it, right?
Gotta adapt a little.
I don't know that I'm too happy to pay. What do they run about $80 now? So
you know, depending on who's fighting.
$10. It's about $10 a month or so, just shy of $10 a month, I guess, for ESPN Plus to begin with. You don't get anything from it other than, you know, you can watch things back. And then you pay for the pay-per-view. Dana released his, you know, his statement when he was trying to build 249 before, talking about it's not about money because he doesn't need money. But here we are back to spending this $80 for this 249, right?
Yeah, you'll never catch me spending any money on any of those events. I mean, I love the events. They're great. They're awesome. But again, like you said, you're paying $10 for a streaming service. Then I got to pay for a pay-per-view. You know, I'm one of those guys. I'm out there. I'm streaming. You know, I'm streaming all these events. You know, it's not that I don't want to spend the money. It's that, you know, I'm supporting the art. I love watching the fights. But you'll find me streaming 249 this weekend for sure.
That's good. We'll share. We'll do a live video watching. We'll have a little party
for sure.
Listen, there's plenty of free streaming content you could get like this show here. That's fun for people to watch. You can learn new things and see new stuff and maybe some new faces and sometimes some old faces. This card's stacked. I'm happy about that. You know,
good card. Definitely a good card. I'm excited about it.
Especially at the upper end of it, you know, once you get deep into the main card, there's some really good ones. You know, I've got a couple people coming on to do some breakdowns on that, but you and I discussed the breakdown on the fight that I like to call the guy with not a lot of talent versus the guy with not a lot of heart. And
all right.
You pick it how you want. I don't really mean a ton of disrespect to the guys, but I think one of them's taken a lot of abuse for a very long time and been the staple guy for the company, and he's just had enough, and he's over the hill, and was never really a top echelon kind of guy. He was more of a gatekeeper. And then you're talking about a guy who typically, when the going's gotten tough, he's never finished a fight when it's tough. You've seen. And even the fights that he's persevered through, where I'm like, oh, he's going to quit, and he hasn't quit. He hasn't won those fights. He's kind of a guy of yesteryear, because there was a time when nobody could figure Pettis out. And then once RDA figured him out and put a beating on him, we haven't seen much more of Pettis. You know what I mean? He hasn't shown up the same way. So that's why I say those things. I don't really mean a ton of disrespect.
No,
but
sure.
by the same token, they're not top five guys in their division anymore. It is what it is.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say where they are, the main event of the prelims speaks for itself. That is where they are now in their careers. You know, at their peaks, maybe they were the runners up to the main event. You know, they're never really big main event guys. We saw Cerrone when he had the main event. That's not his thing. So, you know, the prelim main event is where they both belong. You know, and like you said, Cerrone, Pettis, they both got their weaknesses. I like Pettis more. You know, he's fun to watch. Cerrone, you know, he's a dog. He's your veteran out there. You love to watch the guy who loves to fight. And, you know, you love to see him out there, but, you know, he's getting up there. He's getting older. But I'm excited for the fight where it is. The main event of the prelims slotted perfectly for them. That's what they should be permanently. If they continue fighting moving forward, they should be the headlining of the prelims. But I'm excited for the
title, right?
No, for sure.
Title.
And, you know, maybe Pettis is now going to be a gatekeeper. He hasn't got that title yet, but maybe it's his turn to take the gatekeeping status.
And I think that's a fair observation of it. I also think it's very interesting. I don't see the point in Cowboy continuing on in a career. Okay. Yeah. I do think that this is an interesting fight still. So we've got and we'll embed it here. We've got about a minute 36 seconds of these guys. It's a quick little highlight video. Let's take a look at it, you and me together. You tell me some of the stuff you're seeing, and then we'll talk it back after. Go ahead.
All right, yeah. All right, so we're watching it there. I mean, starts off right away. Liver kick right there. Cerrone, that's their first match right there. Down. I mean, it's tough not to see that almost happening again, to be honest with you. You know, look at Pettis, though. He's fired up. I love it. You know, that's one thing that also separates them. You know, you don't really see Cerrone get excited too much. You know, Pettis, look at that. Lands something nice. He's pumped about the win. You know, Cerrone kind of always usually keeps a stone face, but I love to see that from Pettis as well.
So here's Pettis at some of his best here with that head kick finish that we just saw. Again, Oof. Another head kick finish. And
I mean, again, it's that left kick for Pettis. And, you know, I don't know, they'll probably show, but Cerrone uses more of the right kick. So, you know, that's all. There it is, right? You know, right.
Yeah, so for us,
the neck. Oof.
For us trained lead leg kickers, you'll find that typically most people are right-handed, right? And most people, being right-hand dominant, are better lead leg kickers with the right leg. If you're a better lead leg kicker with your right leg, you typically keep your right leg in front in your stance. Okay. Pettis is a trained karate guy, so he's always going to have that right leg in the front because he's that means lead leg, right leg kicker, which is his left leg then becomes his power leg, just like if you're throwing a left-hand cross is your power punch.
Okay.
And that's why that left high kick works for him. What you do find, I'd say, of the two, I see that Cowboy's a little more versatile and probably a little bit physically stronger. He's definitely got the better wrestling. Pettis has the better jiu-jitsu. Pettis, and we'll see it in that video again if we watch it back. If you see, he's he'll throw a lot of flurries with the hands before he drops that left leg hammer. And it's just kind of like those McGregor fake little kicks, those teak kicks that really aren't there to do much. They're really there to distract the guy from ultimately getting kicked in the neck.
No, for sure.
We've never seen Pettis do a lot of damage with his hands.
Well, you know, you're not gonna like this comment, what I'm gonna say, but we have seen Pettis do a little damage with his hands.
So now Cody's saying that because he knows I've got a really strong feeling about how incredible Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is, and he's got one real loss, and I'm being serious. He's got one real loss in the UFC, and he's been knocked out once in his entire career, and this is sport karate, kickboxing, and the UFC. And he was knocked out cold by Pettis, which is true, on a fluke Superman punch. But a Superman punch, again, has nothing to do with your hand skills. It just doesn't.
I'll concede that if Pettis didn't land that, he was getting pieced up that entire fight. That was
he was. Yeah, I don't think running that back goes anywhere near that way.
No, unnecessary.
Pettis, so he does a lot of that. We saw it again in the Ferguson fight, actually, right? He was landing a bunch of shots. He did the most damage to Ferguson with his legs again. Anytime he touched him with his hands, didn't see Ferguson was really kind of able to shake it off.
Yep.
Came back, pushed it through. And I know in the fight, the story of the fight was Pettis broke his hand.
Yeah.
But I think a lot more of him than just his hand broke, meaning like his heart started to break as you watch the fight go on. Because he's hitting this guy with a lot of stuff, and the guy's able to just shake it off and keep pushing forward. Realistically, what do you see here? What's the strength for Pettis? And then we'll talk Cerrone next.
Sure. I know you said Cerrone is versatile, but, I look at Pettis and the way his body moves. His body moves a little bit more. Cerrone is kind of standing in that pocket. He's more of he's got a stiff, his back's like a rectangle. If you always look at him, he's always kind of straight postured, and his kicks, he might set it up with a straight or a jab, but his whole body kind of moves with his right head kick, his hip. So it kind of gets telegraphed a little bit. You think back to the McGregor fight, the one kick he threw was completely blocked. His whole body goes into it, which is great for the knockout, but it's also a little telegraphed. So, I like Pettis, he's wiry, he throws the volume, but like I said, not too much damage. You think back to the Diaz fight as well. He's throwing punches, but Diaz is coming forward and he's really showing Pettis how to throw punches at volume. But I like Pettis. I like him standing up more than Cerrone. Cerrone's looking for straights, kicks. Pettis is going to come with kicks. He's going to come with flurries. He's going to do cartwheel kicks. They're not going to land, but it's going to be different. Cerrone, might not be ready for that. You don't prepare for that in your training. And, cartwheel kicks, whether they land or not, they're different. You jump off the cage. So he brings that excitement.
Right off the cage. Yep.
So he brings that excitement to that fight, and there's no fans there, right? So we have to think about that as well. Is he going to be Showtime Pettis at this fight? Is there any need for him to do that? And if he doesn't, is that a disadvantage for him? So those are other things I'm thinking about. Is he going to be showing off, or does he care about showing off? But again, I know it sounds like I'm talking to Pettis a lot, but I like Pettis this fight. I like Cerrone. He's great. But like I said, his time's come. He's about to pass the throne of the gatekeeper to Pettis.
I like Pettis at range in this fight. Like we said, he's a much more creative striker. He's a much more all-round capable striker. I like Cerrone in tight. The reason I like that is because he's got a much, much better Muay Thai clinch.
Yep.
Much stronger Muay Thai clinch. And again, I just think he's the physically stronger guy.
I would agree.
I think that if Cowboy wants to shoot for the takedown, he's got the much better wrestling. He's got good jiu-jitsu. I think Pettis' jiu-jitsu is on a different level than Cowboy's. But we don't see it a lot from either of them.
Yeah, you don't see Cerrone.
We haven't seen it.
Yeah. You don't really see Cerrone shoot either. For his wrestling, like you said, is good. You don't really see him shoot too often. He's more of he reacts and tries to go to the ground. He's not going for that shot. Again, looking for his punch, looking for his kick. But maybe he should use his wrestling. That might be.
And maybe McGregor called him to the T. He's just stiff as a board. I see stiffness. Isn't that what he says? That's
at 155. And I think he was talking to Cerrone at that point.
To Cerrone about the division, but particularly, he proved it. He proved it in that fight. I wouldn't be surprised. It's the fight game, so I'm never super surprised in either direction. If the fight goes in either direction, I'm not super surprised. I'm also not super bummed in either direction about it. It'll be good to see them. I think it's a good point you made to play devil's advocate to that one point. So are we going to see Showtime Pettis without an audience, right? Also, are we going to see Donald Cerrone choke with no one to choke in front of him?
Ooh.
Right?
That's a very good
Talking
point.
about
That's
a
what he
guy
said.
that can never win the big one. He never wins the big one, right? He always chokes. He always chokes. He always chokes. And then there's always like the last thing that we've been hearing lately now is his, he's saying I didn't show up because I didn't want to show up to the McGregor fight, the
Yeah, that
biggest fight of
bothers
his
me.
career, and he didn't want to show up. Something doesn't add up there. It sounds more to me like a big excuse because any excuse is better than one of the worst performances in UFC history.
No, for sure. I definitely agree there. But that's a good point. Who is he going to choke in front of? While it is the main event, it's not the main event, so it's not too much of a spotlight on him. That's what I mean. So maybe that's advantage Cerrone with no audience. We're thinking about, does that play a role? Maybe it's going to play an advantage for him, and a disadvantage for Pettis. But it'll be interesting to see. I want to see what energy they both come out with. Even the walkouts, going to the ring. How's that going to be? I mean, I'm excited for that whole thing. Like you said, that previous one we had in Brazil, but now this is fresh in Jacksonville. Something fresh here in US of A. How's this going to look?
Yeah.
How's this going to look? Exactly. We have a lot of names on here. It's going to be exciting to see who brings that energy to the ring this time.
Circumstantially, it's a better look for Cerrone with regards to the circumstances because Pettis is Showtime, and he loves that. He feeds off that energy. Cerrone is the choker, and now there's nothing to choke because, who's he looking at? He's looking at his corner, another corner, a ref, a doctor, and a cameraman or two. I don't know. Espo, do you think we're going to get any ring girls?
Ooh, what's a good – you know what?
Because I will be very bummed if they're not blowing me kisses every round.
I hope so. But, that's a very good question. I don't know. If I know Dana White, though, he wants those ring girls, they're going to be there.
Or virtual, right?
Ooh. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, sure. Hologram them.
That's it. So, fight pick, round, winner, round, and how? Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Pettis, round. Well, this is a 5-round fight since it's the main event. Is that correct?
Sure is.
So I love that it's a 5-round fight. Unfortunately, it's not going to go 5 rounds. I'm going to say Pettis, round 2. He's going to hit him in the body, and then he's going to finish with punches on the ground. Okay. TKO Pettis, round 2.
All right. I hate making the predictions, but I'll do it. I'm going to take Cowboy, round 3, in the clinch, Muay Thai knee.
Ooh.
Puts him down, finishes with a little ground and pound. They stop the fight.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with that. He's got a lot to make up for after the McGregor fight. I am a little curious as to how he's okay to fight after the McGregor fight so early.
That's also good.
It wasn't that long ago.
No, it really wasn't. So that's also a good point. Is he healed up? Is one little touch to the face gonna crush his nose like it was just destroyed from McGregor? That's also good. That'll be interesting to see.
Right. Huh. 249. I'm excited for it. You're excited for it. Tell everybody which fight are you most excited for? Don't give me any prediction on that fight though. Just tell me what you're most excited for. Yeah.
Oh, the fight I'm most excited for on there. You gotta think about the main event there. You gotta think Cejudo. You gotta think Cruz. How's that gonna go? I don't know. We're gonna have to turn in and find out ourselves.
We've got a fight breakdown coming up for that as well, so we will discuss that one at length. I have a lot of content for you guys. That's a very, very big breakdown because that one's a very close, near and dear fight to me. Something that I've been waiting for a long time. The return of the bantamweight king, Mr. Dominic Cruz. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm not gonna say any more than that. We give it away right there. Anyway, Cody, thank you so much for joining us today.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Listen, man, thank you for joining Team Shrugs, and we will be doing more of these in the future, and hopefully we get together for 249, and we do a little virtual party on it and get to watch the fights together lifetime. Thank you, sir.
Later.